Jeremy, my brother, we've known each other for years. When I start off these conversations on this podcast with folks that I've known for a while, I just realize as I'm reviewing content, I always say that, but it's awesome. I think it's an awesome thing to highlight. I think we first met when you were at Ambition, I'm gonna guess, which was a long time ago. OG, gamification, like that whole sort of coaching technology out of Tennessee. And I remember sitting there going, I was in the Bay Area. I was like, those guys got it going over there in Tennessee. And you were building some really awesome stuff. And I remember there were some other competitors out at the time that are no longer around. Those folks really have done a great job. Anyways, thanks for being on the show.
George, great to be here, man. Yeah, we go way back. No one told me when I got into business that half the fun of business would be the relationships you build and having those grow over time. I think we've got to kick it in Miami. I remember we had dinner one night with you, me, and Gaetano.
Yeah.
And Steve. That was awesome. We're both in South Florida right now. I'm, as Plies would say, I'm vibing at the Ritz-Carlton here in Fort Lauderdale. I know you're down in Miami. So
totally.
Yeah, need to come down there and see you, man, while I'm still here in Florida.
Absolutely. I know you're heading over to Dallas, Texas.
Yep.
Shout out to Texas, too. We love Texas, and it's such a great place. And actually, you know who's in Texas? TK, he's in, I should say, Dallas specifically. He's in, the founder of Tout App, which eventually sold to Marketo, and then they sold to Adobe. And he's doing a lot of really cool things, like helping coach founders and CEOs and go-to-market folks at B2B startups. But dude, quick question, because actually maybe we can take a step back and you just give us a quick overview on your career background so we sort of frame it and the audience can know a little bit more about you outside of the fact that I love you and I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, the love is mutual, man. Happy to. So, I've spent the last 10 years working for early stage startups, mostly in SaaS. Got my start with Ambition, which was a Y Combinator backed startup, the first one out of Tennessee. About 10 years ago, I was our director of marketing and really scaled us from 2 customers to a Series A over the 4 years there. Learned a ton. It was very much on the job learning. I don't have a traditional marketing background. I have a law degree that I don't use. But I got into marketing because I had a business in college where I wrote papers for a living. And some of my college buddies were the founders of Ambition. They were like, this is the content marketing world nowadays that we live in. So they brought me in and I've been in ever since. So yeah, Ambition had a great run there, had a great run at Nextiva, which is a unicorn UCaaS company with Gaetano Dinardi, who I know you're good friends with, and Yaniv. We were on an all-star marketing team there, spent 3 great years there. Spent a few years working for an influencer marketing agency called Ubiquitous. That was a startup that was really cool, able to kind of learn the influencer marketing space, which has, a growing presence right now in B2B as well. Yeah. And then joined Textla 9 months ago, doing some really special stuff. I met the founder, I met Luke, and I just was sold on the vision and the opportunity, and what we're doing here is really special. We're bringing, SMS marketing to the masses at a price that you can afford with a platform that takes 10 minutes to figure out and with amazing customer support. So it's an exciting ride, as it always is.
For sure. Well, that's actually a really good segue into answering why SMS marketing is so powerful today. Like, I have a couple friends, that are in the space and have built great businesses. They are like really big, profitable businesses. And actually one of my, I don't know, maybe loose associations with the SMS space is a startup that I help grow and sell couple years ago. Well, now it's many years. Well, I don't know. I guess is the decade many years? I don't know. Time flies. But the startup was in the same building as Twilio. And so I remember meeting the early Twilio team, and they were really cool. And who knew that they were going to become this SMS powerhouse? But question again, why is it so powerful?
Great question. So it's been an interesting sort of journey for me over the last 10 years to kind of see different channels ebb and flow as really popular places to market. SMS right now is really coming to the fore for a few reasons. Number one, there's immense saturation in email and calling. I think we've all seen, sort of the numbers about like, and even the anecdotal stories of people where it's like the reply rates just aren't what they used to be for email. It's oversaturated, it's deluged. Phone calls, lower connect rates. People have gotten savvy to cold callers. A lot of people just won't answer it, if you call them. Texting now, especially for like millennials like you and me, it's something we're very comfortable with, and we're very comfortable with responding to business inquiries over text, or especially if there's like if I've inbounded to a company, and I'm interested in buying their service and they text me, I see that as a net positive, not an invasion of privacy. I see it as a net positive because they're rapidly establishing a personal relationship with me over a channel that I really like to use, which is text. And it's very easy to shoot a text back and forth to someone versus having to go and type up an email or whatever. If you're like me, you're in meetings all day, a lot of communication needs to be asynchronous. So text is a really good way to sort of manage that communication. So I think it's a combo of, just texting being the preferred communication channel for, millennials and Gen Z who are an increasing size of the population. And then also just the sort of downfall a little bit of email and calling as really good go-to channels for people. So
Yeah.
those two things have really done a number on the industry.
I think the inbound use case and then the post call follow up use case, at least within the B2B world, for me is huge. And when we think about personalization, right, there are a couple different sort of experiences or channels you can use. I think SMS is probably one of the most personalized,
Yep.
right, channels, right, and for a couple reasons. And if you can couple that with super customized or personalized copy and then some other experiences, it seems to me like one of the optimal channels when we're thinking about personalization. What's your take on like that whole, I guess, my statement there?
It's a great call out because when it comes to SMS marketing, it's so binary. Either you use it well and you use it with proper personalization and it's a huge 10x for your business, or you use it poorly and everyone hates you.
Mm.
And we've seen both, because I think there's with people who are really experienced marketers, there's some distrust I've seen with like SMS marketing. They're like, it's an invasion of privacy. It's, you can't be cold texting. And like, we agree with that, but I'm not saying go out and just blast people with text, but I'll give you an example. We're meeting with the customer here in Fort Lauderdale, one of our biggest customers. They do ACA marketing and they're reaching out to people who don't have health insurance and offering Obamacare effectively. And it's cold outreach, but it's valuable because it's literally these people who don't have health insurance. You know what I mean? So if you have a good list and a good message, and that message is bringing you health insurance for free if you need it, then it's really great. And then the example you described, which I think is more relevant to guys like us who are in the B2B space, is that it's an incredible tool for follow-up, for meeting follow-up. We follow up with every person who signs up with Textla via text almost immediately. Even your buyers, your customers, I just had lunch with a customer today, shot him a text right afterwards, thanking him, and he's like, all right, cool. And he's literally just wired us $5,000, like right before I got on this call to get started. So yeah, it's a really powerful tool. It's the channel itself is very personalized. If you have something where you need to get in front of a lot of people and add value, and you have the right list and you have a genuine offering, then it's great for outbound as well. And then the third use case, or like the third estate, would be, if you're like loyal to a brand, big brand, and they're texting you, hey, get 25% off, like GNC, if you want to come purchase some new supplements. That's a great channel too. No one's ever going to say no to that. I think a lot of people sign up for those. I'm on a lot of those lists. I get excellent
those offers and things like that. Yeah,
and they get me every so often. They really, I'm susceptible to them.
Totally. Well, just a shout out to your sales team. When I signed up, right away I got a call. I actually got a phone call. I forgot the person's name. I'm blanking on his name, but he was like, "Hey, I mean, I literally signed up within." And maybe Luke, if you're watching this, maybe shout out to the culture, right? That you and him have built. But yeah, I got a call right away from your sales rep. Hey, can I be helpful? I just saw you signed up. Really, of course, I love that stuff, right? Because just my background. If you were to think about, you sort of alluded to a couple of those B2B use cases that B2B marketing leaders or go to market, maybe it's sales leaders, can start to wrap their head around. But if you had to get started with an SMS channel strategy and you're a B2B marketer out there, what's a good first step, right? To start to develop the strategy and then start to kind of like MVP test the SMS channel without scaring people, right? About, mostly internal, right? Folks who are like, oh, I don't know if we want to use, SMS, right?
Yeah, great question. I love great shout out to that. As a VP growth, it just warms my heart hearing you say that. So yeah, we value speed to lead here at Textla. That's something that hasn't changed at all in the last 10 years, by the way. In market, lots changed, but like speed of response is still paramount, and it probably even more, actually much more paramount. It's only getting more important as people's attention spans and whatever becomes more affected by Amazon. So that's a great call out. That is actually the perfect entry point for a B2B marketer to implement text. Think about it. You got buyer coming in. Let's say you're a B2B marketer. They're looking at your service. How many of those people are looking at 4 or 5 competing services at the same time? Probably a bunch, right?
Hmm.
So what's a good way to be the first person they hear from? Well, if you call them and they don't answer, you're going to leave them a voicemail and then you're going to shoot them an email. And who knows when they're going to listen to that voicemail or when they're going to read that email. But if you shoot them a text as a follow-up, let's say I leave your number with you, shoot them a text as a follow-up. I think the number is something insane, like 97% of texts get read within 3 minutes.
Hmm.
So if you want to be the first brand they hear from of the ones they reached out to, use text. It's a no-brainer. Like the studies all show that, and I think we all from our own experience can kind of identify that, like, yes, that is true. If I get a text from someone, it's different. And the other thing it does is it differentiates you. It's very human. You're getting a text from a person, doesn't feel automated. It doesn't even necessarily feel salesy, especially if they've inbounded to you because you're following up trying to help them. And
Absolutely.
so it's a really, really good tool to use. And now you're on a texting basis also with that prospect as well. And you can text them for insights, especially if it's a bigger enterprise deal and you got like 5 or 6 other people who are decision makers. Now you're on that sort of personalized relationship with them. And we've had a lot of deals that texting relationship, you glean big insights from people, and it establishes that connection that's inherent in every big deal that gets closed. So that's probably the first place I would start is text your inbound leads as fast as possible. Make that a thing, and then continue texting them ideally throughout the sales process.
Is there any sort of additional content that you see that works really well through the SMS channel? So, for example, I should ask, should you just text and not send links? Should you couple those texts with links? Should it be, I don't know, PDF file, like anything? I know we're somewhat anti PDF here, trying to get folks to go into the
Sure.
to the next generation or the next era of digital assets and stuff. But I still got to ask, right? Like I do at the end of the day care about what the best practices are, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. I think it's going to depend on the industry. I will say short texts are better. One big mistake we see marketers making using text is they'll send like, 1,000, character text. And it's like, dude, no one's going to read all that. So the shorter the text, the better. And then if you do remember, most people are reading this on their phone. So it's probably better to point them to, if it's like an asset that it's better to be read on their laptop, you're better off pointing them to, hey, check your email. I sent you this contract or this, PDF or this, Asset Mule landing page, which shouts out to you guys. I love the product. You guys
Thank
are,
you.
yeah, it's amazing.
Well, as you mentioned short text, I think products like Asset Mule are actually more relevant because, to your point, something that maybe we would have historically written in a long email or a long message, now it's short message, get them to click through to an experience that has more context. So as you were mentioning that, I go, boy, that really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and a link is so much better than a PDF. Like that's a great call out. Like if you send someone a link to click, that's much better than like attaching a file. So that's another way that there's a huge benefit to SMS. So yeah, I think that's a great great use case right there. And Asmule is the example of a product that lets you do that, which very few lets you do that well. So the other way I would use it too is texting customers. Like if your customer success team isn't texting your customers asking for referrals, they're missing out. And think of it, what better way to ask for a referral than to literally text a customer and ask them. Like an email seems more formal and but text feels like a personal, like you build that relationship. You're like, let's say you get off a call with a customer, it just went really well. They're very happy with you. Make the ask via text, and that's that way they're feeling the love. They're like, dude, I'm on a personal basis with this team. They're texting me, stuff. And that's a great chance for you to kind of like deepen that customer relationship and make those important asks that drive more business. As we all know in B2B, referrals are king, so I think that's another great use case right there. So it's very like tactical and situational, for a B2B team. Like you can do the quick follow-ups by text. You can, post demo or whatever, send them, a link to like an Asset Mule style asset. And then once they're a customer, then you start making those asks about referrals or reviews or upsells. You can, sort of, pitch those via text as well. Pitch them. That's the place where it feels the most human and the most one-to-one.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, this is a non-SMS. I really wanted to dive into SMS here because I think it's an exciting channel, of course, and I think B2B is going to continue to embrace it and adapt it. But this is more about you as a head of marketing, and you worked at startups going from 0 to 1 plus many, many times and have been part of that journey. If you're a head of marketing out there who's thinking about, all right, I got to figure out my approach over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
What do you do, especially these days, right? Where it seems like the marketing mix has really evolved in many ways, right? Like, even SEO, our boy Gaetano talks a lot about SEO and how it's changed, right? And he's like, shout out to G, right? He's awesome at that and a lot of other things, but I know certainly I've never heard anyone speak to it the way he does. But even that has changed, right? Like a lot of those strategies. So if you had to think about, and actually I remember when I was the head of marketing at another startup that before this one, I was texting you, asking you stuff, right? Because I was like, I got to figure out what's my 0 to 1 kind of thing. I was launching that marketing team. What's your take now in 2024? I got a limited budget, right? Like I have a market that is hesitant to take risks and purchase things and things like that, and so on. We're all aware of the macro environment. What is your initial sort of plan? And maybe, and I got just one more thing. Like maybe my plan is to spend the next, 90 days figuring out the plan and just doing some scrappy stuff.
No, it's a great question, and I'm actually well suited for this. I did a podcast like a few days ago where I actually kind of had some realizations mid conversation about what works. So let's start with what's timeless and what I've seen work the last 10 years, which is talking to your customers. Everyone says it, right? But talking to your customers and figuring out your key differentiators is the most important thing you'll do. And for Textla, I'm fortunate because we have very clear differentiators: pricing, best priced, That's one of the big reasons that like SMS has grown, by the way, is the price has come down because you do have to pay per text, but our price is unbeatable. We're 0.005 or half a penny per text, which is about a third of what typically you pay with a platform like ours. So price is a big differentiator for us. Ease of use is the other thing our customers say. It's super easy to use. It takes 10 minutes to import your contacts and send a campaign to thousands of people. That's impossible to beat. People
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
what I found, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah. And then the third is customer support. We're very human. We're all based in the US. If you chat with us on our website, or if you call in, you're talking to me, you're talking to head of customer success, you're talking to another member of our team who's in the US, knows the space really well. And we noticed that in our space, the other guys do that terribly. They make you talk to a chatbot, or they make you talk to someone in like Pakistan or the Philippines. So talking to the customers early gave us those insights on here's how we position ourselves. And here's like, this is going to inform everything else we do, like our messaging on our website, the people we go after and target, what we're saying in our cold emails, what we're emphasizing on our product demos when we demo the product. It's all influenced by that. And what I realized from my conversation I just had earlier this week was that held true at every other startup I worked at. At Ubiquitous, the difference maker was speed. We were going to be the fastest to go and get your campaign out the door. We were going to make sure it got the best results, but like we were able to quickly deliver on campaigns people asked for. And Ambition, our big differentiator, was actually our data integrations. So we could basically integrate with, sales activity data from Salesforce, from HubSpot, from Google Sheets, from, industry-based systems. None of our competitors could do that. That's why they all died, as you called out. So that's literally, once we realized that Ambition, it was funny because we started making that a core part of our messaging, and we won a lot of deals that way because, we kind of knew, and we knew who needed that. We knew which customers had data in different systems because I adopted tools that told us, here's their data stack. So I knew that they had performance data all over the place. So it starts with talking with your customers. And then another great way to do that is to push for reviews, because reviews can be used, across multiple different places. You can use them on your website. It's social proof. G2 ranks for, like every search term known to man in SaaS, it seems like now. So you're going to get some SEO juice from that. So I would start with that as the first place. And then the other thing, once you have that down, is you focus on the website. You make sure the website looks phenomenal. We worked with a very talented design team that our CEO found at Textla, and we have, I think, the best looking website, Textla.com. You can go check it out in our industry. Explains the differentiator as well. It's very simple.
Love it. I sorry to interrupt you, brother, but I love it. I love the design. It feels like it's a consumer brand, right?
That's what we went for, man. We want something. He asked us how like risk tolerant we were because he wanted to create something that didn't look like anyone else had. And we were like, dude, we want to look as different as possible, as unique as possible. And so that's another thing I would say is, it's worth spending the money to invest in a great designer for your website. Like what we spent was 5 figures, put it that way. It wasn't 6 figures. And that's your storefront. That's what everyone's going to see. So once you've kind of nailed your messaging and your positioning, that's the first place I would invest, making sure your website's as great as possible. And then from there, I'm using tools like Smart Lead. We're doing, mass outbound to, different lists, seeing how that works, testing our messaging. We're doing interloping on like Reddit and Quora for different search terms that are highly relevant to us. We just launched Google Ads. We're launching Meta Ads. But we're placing small bets across a bunch of different places and seeing what hits. Because what I've seen in the past is that, typically there's like a few channels that are going to be your big payoff channels, but you have to find them. And you have to see, you find them, then you see, okay, what's driving actually qualified leads that convert into customers. Then you double down those, scrap the rest, and you commit yourself to that. And I mean, at Ubiquitous, for example, we had a channel called Influencer Marketing Hub, where we ended up spending like 20 grand a month on it as a startup, which, is a lot of money for a pre-Series A startup, but it made sense because the ROI was so good. It was bringing us like 30%, 40% of our qualified leads every month. So, but we found that by starting off by placing a small bet somewhere, seeing it pay off, and then doubling down on it. So, figure out that core foundation for your business, and that's honestly like a 6 month, 3 month, sort of process. Try to do it as fast as possible. Talk to customers every day. I do a lot of our follow up calls. Still to this day with our inbound leads. It's one of my favorite things I do because I hear something new every day about why people are buying us, about how they found us, and so nothing beats that. So make sure to make that a part of your core thing, and then get the foundation right, and then start placing bets. That's my advice.
Mic drop. Jeremy, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate your insights. If folks wanted to learn more about Textla, maybe learn more about you and the content that you share, what are the best URLs or channels to reach you?
Yeah, come visit us at textla.com, just like it's spelled here in my title. Yeah, we'd love to work with you. We work with a ton of brands. I mean, they run the gamut from small businesses to high growth companies. We're servicing everyone right now. If you want the best pricing in the industry, it's us by far. And again, the customer support's the best, and so is the ease of use. If you want to connect with me, check me out on LinkedIn. Just type my name in. I'm always love chatting marketing. I love learning from other people too. Like that's one thing I've loved about being a marketer is, you learn stuff, and stuff that worked 5 years ago doesn't work now. I mean, I'm privileged to work with some, Luke and our CEO is 22, our head of customer success is 22. And these guys are so ahead of the game. They know stuff that like they like are teaching me stuff, every day. So I'm always down to talk shop. So if you want to just chat marketing with me, I'm always down for that. So hit me up.
Awesome. Well, brother, good to see you. I'm going to definitely come out to Texas as soon as I can. Check you out in Dallas, maybe head over to Austin too, and see some of the folks I'm friends with out there. But
we'll go hit a rodeo together.
All right, I'm in.
I've never been.
Well, you know what? I went to a rodeo when I was in Oklahoma years ago. When I was a door-to-door salesperson in Oklahoma, outside of Oklahoma City. But other than that, it's due for a new experience.
We'll get you a cowboy hat and some Wranglers. I need to get one too. We'll go all out, man.
Let's do it. Well, our mascot is a mule, right? Asset mule. So we're all about the Western theme and those sort of things. So, anyways, have a great time at the Ritz Carlton. Love that place, and have a great day.
Yeah, you too, George. Thanks so much.